Welcome to today's Tech United Ask Member Anything, or Ask Me Anything, but we're calling it an Ask Member Anything with Jose Cotto, of True Reply. Jose, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Hey, Aaron. Good morning. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here.
Where are you joining us from?
I am physically in Sparta, New Jersey, so we're northwest.
Nice. I like our shared haircut style. I appreciate that.
Aerodynamic, that's what I call
it. So the point of these is to share with the community what some of our members are up to and who the people are behind the scenes. So tell people, what is True Reply all about?
True Reply is all about making it super simple for anyone to launch voice apps and leverage devices like Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant to either create engaging experiences, do research, consumer feedback, all that kind of stuff. We like to think of ourselves as like if Squarespace and the HubSpot had a voice child, it would be True Reply.
That's awesome. So what do you, can you talk to me a little bit about why the voice market, why people who may not be paying attention to voice should be?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, it's the overall saturation of the space. In other words, one thing that most people don't realize, because it's really happened so quickly, it's almost snuck up on us, is really how prevalent voice technology is, right? The head of the conversation usually starts with Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant. Samsung Bixby is doing great stuff in the international markets, and they're slowly coming into the US. But it goes well beyond that. If you think about just how many times a day you use voice to text, when you're driving and you use voice technology to text your significant other or, answer an email or stuff like that, you're finding voice technology in everything from headphones to shower heads to toilets. I mean, it's insane, really, just how prevalent voice technology is, and it's really snuck up on us, which makes it more than anything, as we see it, an opportunity for every company to really create new and engaging ways of having some deeper relationships with consumers.
I wonder if you have any of the stats handy, because I'm always shocked.
Yeah.
About how many searches are done by voice.
Yeah, absolutely. Separate from the search space specifically, first I'll say, we reached about 90 million homes as of May 2020. We're touching about 120 to 150 million consumers, depending on your perspective. I actually think those numbers are significantly higher. If for no other reason that most of the stats you'll see around the voice space have to do with smart speakers, but the technology itself is in so many other things, from TVs, again, to headphones, to your car. So that those numbers about how many consumers are touched by voice technology, my personal feeling is significantly higher. When it comes to the voice search space specifically, which again is it's almost like a use case around voice technology, right? But it is the one that is, that's the one most prevalent today, is just searching with voice. That has gone up by about 60% in the last 6 months alone. And we're seeing that actually, the forecast by, I think it was Pew Research and NPR pushed out back in April, was showing about 85% voice search is expected by the end of the year. And that was pre kind of deep COVID usage impact, which has only amplified the technology's usage among consumers.
What do you mean when you say 85% voice search? You mean across all searches?
So 85% of people will be using voice searching as their primary way of searching for stuff. So, and that includes, hey, Siri, tell me about blah, or, let me shut that off. Sorry.
No problem.
Or, asking Alexa for X, Y, or Z. It includes, it has a few, it's a big bucket of what voice search encompasses. But that's essentially what's included in that stat itself.
So tell us about True Reply. How you say it's an easy way for people to launch themselves into the voice space, but let's talk specifically about how does it work?
So it works very simply. You get on the website, you set up your account, and depending on what kind of voice app you want to launch, let's say you want to do consumer feedback for a particular product or service, you can go through essentially a 6 to 7 step wizard that walks you through the entire process, putting in your branding, putting in your messaging, your questions for the feedback. We also provide a nice list of templates to kind of kick the process off and make it even easier for you. And really, from start to finish, the entire process can take you less than 10 minutes. And once you hit that launch button, it's available instantly on your kind of own personal account. And then it takes about 48 hours for the OEM providers like Amazon or Google to accept the voice app.
So what are some of when we first met, I asked you for ideas of what we could do.
Yeah.
And you came up with some interesting ideas. What should people be thinking about how they should use voice to drive their businesses?
So it's really dependent on what's your market space. So we focus ourselves in 3 specific marketplaces, which is healthcare, market research, and entertainment. So specific to the healthcare use case, which is really deep in our roots, you're thinking about patient feedback, aged care, that kind of stuff, the kind of things that, for example, we have a pilot out in Australia where we're looking at aged care facilities, and they really want to augment their in-house nurses with Amazon Alexa devices. And what they're doing, what they normally do is the nurse would come in and every morning and check in on every patient and just do a regular check-in, 3 or 4 questions, how are you feeling, that kind of stuff. And they're really going to augment that, especially in light of COVID and kind of that exposure, by having Alexa answer a lot of those questions and provide that check-in. So that's kind of a healthcare specific use case. On the market research side, which is much more prevalent, especially here in the States, we're seeing things like, for example, point of experience. So let's say a Procter & Gamble, a Johnson & Johnson wants to collect, how you feel about the shampoo and soap you used this morning in your hair. They can set up a quick experience that allows you to actually convey that feedback without using your hands and while you're talking. But there's other use cases that we've got kind of organic traffic coming in for. For example, we've put together an insurance concierge, which is essentially providing insurance brokers the ability to launch these voice apps as kind of voice counterparts to them, which these tools allow people to learn about insurance, submit preliminary applications, all via voice. So there's quite a few different use cases across markets, and we're kind of touching on all of them as we've designed the platform to be able to do that.
So those are a variety of use cases, right? I mean, very differing use cases.
Yes.
How easy is it? Let's talk about the hospital care Alexa opportunity. First, there's like HIPAA compliance issues. Yep. And I'm wondering about how those play a role. But how easy is it for someone to go into your service, go to TrueReply.com and build that app on their own? How long would it take, start to finish?
Yeah, so first on the HIPAA compliance, I just want to touch on that real quick. We are one of the first platforms of its kind to be HIPAA compliant, GDPR, COPA compliant, and CCPA compliant. First platform. Yeah. Well, we really started with a healthcare kind of focus. So we're always very conscious about security and the protection of that security, especially around patients.
Why did you start in healthcare? How did that become the entry point?
That's a bit of our kind of origin stories, right? So
let's get into that. How did this start?
Yeah. So TrueReply for me started kind of as a side project quite some time ago, and it actually started oddly enough as a fluency platform. So in a quick summary, the idea of the platform originally was we've got actually, I'll take a step back. I was sitting in my office one day and I had a voicemail. I heard the voicemail and it was a salesperson. You can obviously tell they were kind of trying to sell something, but you couldn't understand a single thing they were saying. And it was because they had a heavy accent, they weren't articulating very well. And that led to the original idea behind TrueReply, which was this idea of testing fluency and allowing people to practice their fluency and get scored. So that's kind of how it started. But around 2000, I would say 2016 or 2015, I took a small hiatus away from tech and I volunteered for some rare disease foundations. And one of the things that struck me personally was how difficult it was for people living with symptoms burden from these rare diseases to do some of the basic things. Oftentimes when they were, for example, participating in clinical studies, they would experience so much pain that they couldn't even do a simple thing like fill in a form, right? A follow-up kind of form. And that really, we'd have to go back further as to why that hit me so much, but that really kind of changed my thinking about this platform that we were building. And we really, we kind of pivoted around to, instead of being just this small thing around fluency, to trying to solve a bigger problem, which was in healthcare, and really providing patients living with, severe symptoms burden a way of still engaging via voice. We then iterated so quickly after that point. I think we launched the original platform on 2017 in September. We had our first nationwide healthcare study, first of its kind, even by that October. And so soon after that, we've iterated very quickly, layering in additional features, making the platform even easier to use. Because my vision from the beginning was this needs to be something that can help the healthcare space, these foundations, these nonprofits. And that's a kind of a two-sided coin. On the one side, yes, you've got the patients living with rare diseases and that severe symptoms burden. And on the other side, you've got the practitioners, which are generally not highly technical. So we've always had this
What
kind
does
of—
that mean, by the way? Severe, you said that a couple of times. I mean, it seems obvious, but symptoms burden.
Yeah.
Just the difficulty of their life based on the disease that they're dealing with?
Yeah, essentially. So for example, if we take CMT, Charcot-Marie-Tooth, the Hereditary Neuropathy Foundation has been a huge supporter of us since the beginning. And one of the symptoms of that disease is it's a degenerative disease right now. And it gets more and more severe, and to the point where it becomes even too painful to walk. It can be too painful to type and that kind of stuff. So that's that severe symptoms burden. And that's across several diseases. It's not just CMT. I'm just kind of using that as an example. Once we had the platform in place with a strong focus of that kind of, the practitioners are not very super technical. We kind of came into it as the platform has to be easy to use. It has to be easy to launch these experiences. And that's been ingrained along with the privacy and the security in our DNA since the beginning. So we've iterated quickly to make the platform easier to use while at the same time making it even more powerful. We went from, launching first, we started with just purely on the telephone side in October of that 2017. By November, we were the first platform of its kind to leverage Amazon Alexa, and then we just kind of kept adding firsts from there. But we've really anteed up the sophistication and the things that the platform can do in a very easy way. So to answer your question, kind of like, if you wanted to launch this check-in thing, what would that look like? Well, really, it depends on a couple of things about how you're going to deploy that. But if it's simply an experience where the patient is triggering Amazon Alexa and wants to check in, answer a few questions, that is literally a 6-step process. It could take you less than 20 minutes to launch. You just go in, you type your welcome message, your thank you messages, your questions, and all that kind of stuff. We like to say that it's so easy that oftentimes the hardest part is before you even sit down to do it, figuring out what that welcome messaging is going to be, figuring out what that branding is going to be, figuring out what those questions are going to be. But once you've got all that, you can drop in and really just set that up really quickly, hit the launch button, and within 3 minutes, it's available to you so that you can kind of experience it via the device, and it's submitted to Amazon and it's live, fairly quickly. So that experience is a quick turnaround time. And in that process, you don't just have the option of kind of doing the type in, but you can also upload your own media, which means you can really leverage sonic branding, which was always important to us, especially as we went into the entertainment and marketing space.
So I just want to hold on to this healthcare example for a minute.
Yeah.
Hackensack Marine Health is one of our big partners in our Health Tech Alliance. If they were to deploy this in their hospital system, can they get the results of those questions back into some kind of a CRM or whatever tool it is that they use to manage their patient care?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, TrueReply is not just the voice aspect, right? Once you log into the platform, you actually get deep real-time insights on about all the engagement. So that's kind of your level one about, what's going on, what's the data I'm collecting. Level two is via we do everything kind of in a spectrum, right? Because we're looking at people that can, on the one side of the spectrum, might be not very technically sophisticated, and on the other side of the spectrum might have a lot of technical resources, right? A lot of engineers and geeks and that kind of stuff. So the platform reflects that. So you can start as easy as dropping in a URL where we push your engagement data to leveraging our private APIs and really doing, next level integration kind of stuff where you can have that data given to you in real time as patients, consumers, whatever the case may be, are engaging, or we can have that kind of like a digest, pushing that out periodically.
Wow. So what's the competitive landscape look like? Are there a bunch of tools? And we haven't looked much. Last year we set up our own Propelify skill, or Alexa skill, but we haven't done a lot in this space. It's not something I'm super familiar with. What does the rest of this landscape look like?
The landscape is, it's a great emerging technology. So obviously you're going to have a lot of people trying to have, give their own perspective on what a tool should be like. So we do have several, we've got about a nice a dozen competitors in the space. However, the thing I think that is unique for TrueReply is we started with this focus of the practitioner. In other words, we started from the perspective of, hey, I want, whether it's Aaron, sitting in his living room, or the researcher out in San Diego, I want either one of them to be able to sit down and do this quickly and easily. And that's really, I think, a key differentiator when it comes to how we compare to some of that competitive space, is that anyone really can sit down and launch a voice app with their branding, with their messaging, whether it is for patient feedback, consumer feedback, market research, in minutes. And that's really, what I think sets us apart.
Yeah, I want to point out that Douglas Miles is a big fan. He wrote Brilliant Concept. He's a significant B2B vertical. They're working for potential applications, so you should hit him up. That's one of the reasons we do these, is to make sure we connect people in the community for opportunity. What's been your experience with TechUnited, and what more can we do to, provide entrepreneurs with the resources they need to grow faster?
So far, the experience has been fantastic. I like the community feel of itself. We had I think it was the first member event a couple of weeks ago, which was a ton of fun. Really, what we look for, we really look more outwardly. In other words, we're here in TechUnited really to see who we can help and how we can help other members, the community at large, because it really, we've invested so much in making this so easy that we're at a point as, hey, this really is now so easy to get anyone on these devices and creating these experiences, that we want to kind of expand that opportunity and really give back to the community and help whoever we can leverage these devices, because I truly believe, there's not a future. I think it was Mark Cuban said that there is no future that doesn't have ambient voice technology as a part of it. And I believe that down to my bone, which is why I'm investing so much in this space. I really think it's the future, and I really think we can help a lot of businesses, a lot of foundations, a lot of organizations, especially post, current and post-COVID, leverage this technology to, help connect, help build deeper relationships, and help their businesses.
What are so we talked about healthcare as a vertical. I mean, obviously this is a giant space, so it seems like focus is really critical for your growth. So how do you think about which market segments to go after, and where have you found some opportunities that have been surprising? Who signed up just on their own, and you're like, oh, I never thought about this for that industry?
The thing that we have found, and you'll find this I'm sure you'll hear it from a lot of other founders really on the on the heavy technology side, is emerging technologies are interesting. They're kind of finicky. You never really know when they're going to latch on to themselves, and they usually latch on to different markets at different times. So for example, as we've talked about, we started in healthcare, but as a bootstrap startup, it started becoming a question of, all right, how does this sales life cycle look up against our cash flow, right? And that's when we started investing on features that allowed us to be more agnostic to a market and fit some other markets that are experimenting and moving towards voice in a much faster pace.
Yeah.
So a lot of our early adopters, a lot of our early customers have been, yes, we had a nice handful of healthcare kind of related projects and pilots, but really the organic stuff is coming in from the market research side. Really more forward-thinking companies looking at voice as that new channel to help supplement some of their market research and point of experience endpoints.
That's pretty cool. Wow. So you've been doing this, you said, since 2017, right?
So we started it as a project of one of my other companies in 2017, and we incorporated the company. We kind of focused year one on technology and kind of proving out the efficacy across different segments, which is why we've learned so much about the space and about different markets. So we focused year one, 2007, I would say, end of 2017 into the end of 2018 on tech. 2018 to 2019 was really about building our relationships, building out channel partners, which we've done a great job at. And then we incorporated it as a company in 2019, June. And here we are today.
So how are things going? What do you need, for people watching, besides potentially becoming a client, which, by the way, I want to mention, this is a SaaS model, right? This is a monthly fee, relatively inexpensive, I believe, compared to what it would cost to custom develop something. Do you want to talk more about the pricing model?
Yeah, absolutely. As everything else with TrueReply, we've strived to live by a label of accessible, whether it is how easy it is to launch a voice app, how easy it is to get your data, how easy it is to manage it, right? So like if we're doing this live event right now, we could have a TechUnited voice app powered by TrueReply that in real time, you can switch out messaging, switch out questions, that align with what's going on in live. So it's about making it accessible, and the pricing is the same. We've done a lot of research around the space when it comes to, all right, what if I'm a small business, if I'm a foundation, if I'm an enterprise, how much do I have to invest on engineering, planning, design, voice design, experience design, time, and financials in order to launch a voice app? And that number ranges anywhere between 25,000 to 120,000, whether you're doing an MVP or a full product. So we kind of took those numbers and we, again, how can we make this accessible to as many people as possible? So what we've done is we've got really 3 tiers of our subscription model. The first one is $250 a month. And with that, you get a single voice app. You get all the real-time data analysis, all the dashboard power tools, all that kind of stuff in that first tier. The second tier, we're really positioned towards agencies. So you're at $1,000 a month. You're getting 5 voice apps. Again, when I say voice apps, these aren't static things, right? So that they're completely malleable. They can be changed. You can have an experience going on today and completely change that voice app experience next week. So I like to make that clear, because when you take that and then you attach 5 voice apps included at that agency model, that's a lot of you've got a lot of value there. But in addition to that, you get at that tier, you get access to additional voice assistants. So at the $250, you're really launching on Amazon Alexa. At $1,000, you get 5 voice apps. You're launching on Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant at the same time. You've got dedicated solution specialists to help you navigate kind of the nuances of some of these more sophisticated apps. You've got CRM integration at that level, which means we can push out real-time engagements directly to a CRM, whether it's like a HubSpot, a Salesforce, or something proprietary. Our solution specialists are the ones that really tackle that. And then we've got your enterprise, which is really all about, how do we, for example, deploy voice-based menu ordering for Chipotle across all of their stores nationwide. That kind of scenario is where our enterprise team kind of comes in, and that has its own variable pricing depending on what you want to get done. Got it.
And now I understand you've created some special pricing just for the TechUnited New Jersey members. Is that right?
Yes. We actually launched TrueReply.com/TechUnited, exclusive for TechUnited members, where we're really offering, a lot of what we've spoken about, most of what we've talked about here, for 50% off. So it's, instead of $250, it's $125 a month. Again, you can launch that voice app. We can literally launch one, within 15 minutes live. And when I say live, I mean Amazon approves it, and it goes live and anyone can access it in as fast as 24 hours. The average is about 48 hours.
I wish I had thought to make this whole discussion a screen share and we could have launched a live voice app.
We definitely could have. It doesn't take long.
How long would that take us to do?
It depends. If we get specific on the kind of voice app we want to do, it's more about the conversation, right? Oh, what do you want to say here? Or what do you want to ask there? And that takes much longer than the actual setup itself. But assuming we had all of that messaging and questions and branding pieces in place, it would take, less than 5 minutes, 10 minutes at most, depending on how much we debate this question there or that question there.
I mean, I'm putting you on the spot here, but should we risk trying to set one up, or should we save that for another day?
We can do it either way. If you've got something in mind and you've got a few more
I'm thinking the first thing we can start with is, when is the next Tech United event? Which is a frequent question we get. People could ask where can they raise capital? We could do tech trivia. I mean, I could pick any of these things. The easiest one where we have the data right now, if we're going to do this live, is next event. Mm-hmm. But if you think this is time better spent another day, we can postpone.
So what I'm thinking is, that 5 minutes, right? Think of something along the lines of, hey, what did you think of this AMA? Or, how did you feel about XYZ? Those kinds of things are that quick 5 to 10 minute thing. When we just did an integration, for example, with BrewDog and the Punk API, right? So in real time, if you go right now to your Alexa and you say, hey, open up Betty Beer, instead of Betty Crocker, it's Betty Beer. It's going to give you, and she's going to give you basically a beer and food pairing. And what that's doing is, in real time, it's actually going out to BrewDog, pulling their information in and giving you that beer and a food pairing. So when we're talking about, hey, when is the next Tech United event? What we'd probably want to do is tie that into some place where it can get that information like in real time and quickly, whether that's your calendar, your Google Calendar, or something like that.
We do. I mean, we obviously have it on our website. We could pull it from the calendar, but you're saying that we could use as a feedback mechanism. I mean, you mentioned this before with the shampoo example, for people to give feedback, right?
Right.
Just going down this path, because we love feedback. We want to know how we're doing. What would be the prompt besides them thinking, I would like to give feedback? Is there something else we could do to trigger an engagement that gets people to want to give us feedback?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's actually something unique to our platform. So the way these devices work today is that you have to make that request, right? So you've got to say, hey, Alexa, give me the Tech United feedback scale, or okay, Google, give me the Tech United feedback scale. Google might start talking about it. I don't know how to help with that. She doesn't know yet.
Haven't done yet. Yeah, she doesn't know yet.
She doesn't know yet. Yeah. So the first question of this is awareness, and it's something that I try to guide clients to our experience specialists try to drive, guide clients through it. Is we're not really using these devices, really aren't at the level on the engagement side to be used for awareness. They're great experiences to kind of level up value proposition, collect feedback, and that kind of stuff. So awareness is not why you would do this. So what we've done is we've created fully branded, essentially, we call them voice links, right? So for example, that Betty Beer one is at alxa.app/Betty Beer. So that's kind of like filling that awareness piece. So from the awareness side, you would send out your custom branded link, and it's really cool, especially on either platform. When you click that link, it takes you to a page that's powered by the OEM. So whether that's Amazon or Google. But they've done such a good job, especially in the last, let's say 6 weeks, especially, to upgrade these experiences. So when you land on these pages, you can actually say, hey, I want to try this out in my kitchen, or I want to try this out in the car, or maybe you're not ready to try out the Tech United feedback skill just yet. So you can hit a button at the bottom that says, hey, remind me the next time I'm next to my device that I want to try this out. And it actually just sends that reminder. And Google works in a very similar way with these pages. So we've taken that functionality. I've got a little bit of a marketing and branding experience in the back of my head. So I've combined, these fully branded links with that great experience to really help Tech United drive awareness to that feedback. So for example, as you have here that 50% offer, it might also come along with a link that takes them directly into the voice experience. Hey, let us know how you feel about, about today's AMA. Go to, alexa.app/Tech United kind of thing.
Yeah. I would love to do another session of these where maybe we work out some of the kinks and decide what to lean in on, but maybe we'll pass for today. But
I'd love to do that.
I think what you just brought up is a really important point, though, right? These are complementary experiences. I think you called it an upgraded experience or way to engage someone. It was creating awareness for the skill itself is the most important part of the equation, right?
Correct.
Maybe if it's built into a hospital, that's a little bit different because it's just part of the process of interacting, and there's more of a literal pain point versus something that's a nice to have. And so for people watching, it sounds like what you're saying is, if you're thinking about a voice skill, think about how this plays into your overall marketing plan and how this complements some other experience to more deeply engage a user versus, we'll put it's not like we're just putting out a skill in the marketplace and millions of people go, enable it. It's quite different, right? I want to make sure that point's clear.
Yeah, it's quite different. And it's when you've been kind of doing tech and startups as long as I have, you've got that pattern recognition, right? So, where we are in voice today is where, we'll use two examples, where web pages were in 1991 or where mobile apps were in, 2010, right? Which is, you're not going to put something out there and all of a sudden, it gets 1,000, a million users and a million engagements. But you've got to, you got to drive awareness to it. It needs to be part of a larger initiative. It needs to be part of that branding, marketing, or operations strategy so that you can get the results you're looking for. And we're painfully mindful of this, right? As we've been, learning what the market needs, learning what our customer needs, knowing where the holes are, and kind of driving some of that engagement. And we've mitigated a lot of that. And that's where these voice links come in. That's where our QR codes come in, where you can just scan them and it throws you right into an experience. That's where, we've talked about Alexa and we've talked about Google, but our platform also supports telephone, which is huge in the healthcare space. And really on the telephone side, it's the Amazon Alexa skill equivalent, but via phone. You're just dialing a number instead of saying, Alexa, give me this. And even there, we commission phone numbers right for you in real time. We give you QR codes for those phone numbers so you can help with that awareness, help with that distribution. So we're really, one of the things that we prioritize at TrueReply is really checking off all the boxes that are needed for voice as a technology to succeed, right? So there's the ease of deployment. There's the ease of management. There's the ease of driving awareness. We're really paying attention to what our customer needs are, what the market needs are, so that we can have that kind of be all encompassing in our platform.
That's very cool. We're gonna wrap up shortly, but have you thought about a website widget that's voice responsive? There are obviously quite a few text widgets that are meant to be AI bots, etc. Like, could you enable a skill right on the site to drive engagement?
Yes, we have thought of this, and it kind of you kind of need almost a little bit of self-control, right? For us,
focus
is we've got technology, it can do so much, but when you're at a stage where we are now, especially since we're bootstrapped, you've got to pick your battles, and you've got to pick those improvements that are really going to impact the community at large. So it's on our roadmap and it's on our minds. How other, that goes into our buckets of what are the other touch points for voice, right? It's not just smart speakers. It's going to be the car. It's going to be your shower. It's going to be headphones. It's mobile phones. And mobile phones aren't going to go anyway. They're not going to go away and they're not going to go anywhere, but they're going to be much more voice focused. So this is definitely, at top of mind for us. It's on our roadmap, but right now we kind of have to pick our battles when it comes to what, how value can we add to the community.
Focus is good. Who do you use to provision phone numbers, by the way?
We use Twilio.
So you should be aware, Phone.com is a New Jersey company, longtime member of TechUnited, friend of mine personally also, so maybe I'm a little biased. But check them out. I bet you'll be able to find better pricing. And if you want to talk to Ari or any of the team at Phone.com, I'm happy to make that happen. But they have a full API that's very, very similar to what you're talking about. They use at Twilio, and might be worth taking a look. But
awesome.
Not meant to be an ad for Phone.com, but this is our job. Our job is to connect the community. And my guess is you did not know that Phone.com offered that service. Maybe the rest of you didn't know so much about TrueReply. I didn't know, obviously, quite this much. And I think it's really, really fascinating. I'm a big fan of this space. Gary Vee did, I don't know if he still does a voice conference because He believes so much in this space. I wonder if have you had a chance to get it in front of his agency at all?
Not yet.
Well, that might be another thing we can help you out with. And again, that's kind of the point. But I'm a big fan of where this is going. I like the size of the market. Love the idea of where voice is and being an early adopter in this space. So really proud to have you as a member. Really appreciate you joining us today. Want to make sure that we can be as helpful as possible. So, that kind of concludes, I want to say anyone who is interested in helping out. I started this question before we got diverted. What are you looking for? You're raising capital, you're hiring, you need clients. Like, what do you need?
Right now, we're focusing on sales more than anything. Our technology is proven. We're really focusing on, on the sales side. On the investment side, we've had some conversations, but we're struggling to find the right investor with the right fit for where the technology can go. And so we're entertaining conversations on the investor side, but it really has to be the right fit that understands the emerging technology, understands voice tech, and understands really how, all those businesses that we're about to disrupt simply by making this easy to do.
Yeah, totally got it. Well, really appreciate you joining us today. Really appreciate you being a member of TechUnited, and hopefully we'll see you at Propelify next week.
You definitely will. Thank you very much, Aaron. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Be well.
Have a good one. Stay healthy.
You too.
Stay strong.
Bye-bye.
Bye.